present and ready to go. So our first presenter has been teaching for 20 years. Part of that was at Spring Hill Middle School and Bentonville for 10 years, at TEP Charter School, New York for 2 years, and the U of A Children's Choir for 5 years. The rest of the time, she's currently been at Lakeside Junior High in Springdale. So please welcome to our Zoom meeting and our first session on encouraging active student engagement, Mrs. Rachel Cornett. Take it away, Rachel.
Thank you. Oh my gosh, good morning, you guys. You have some silent applause. That's what I make my kids do, like jazz hands, silent applause, right? Oh my gosh, so wow. A new director during a pandemic. I mean, they give out trophies for that, right? I mean, not only are you trying to figure out being a new teacher, but we're all trying to figure out everything this year. So I am so proud of you guys for making it halfway through your year, almost. I was thinking about that the other day. I was like, I can't believe Thanksgiving break and then Christmas break and the year is already halfway over. So kudos to you. You are hanging in there and you're here this morning to learn more. I mean, I'm so excited for you guys. I hope you're ready for a fun-filled day of lots of learning. I am going to share my screen with you really fast here. And let's see here. Thank you for letting me see your faces this morning. I super appreciate that. I feel like everybody should at least like cover up so I can recognize you later and see your eyeballs this morning. Okay, I'm gonna try to share screen, see if this is working. Oh, don't look at my desktop or wallpaper, Little Mermaid. Okay, let me Okay, well, so the thing that we are talking about this morning is encouraging active student engagement. So also the weird thing about that right now is, are we talking about engaging students who are in front of you in a classroom? Are we talking about engaging students virtually? Are we talking about engaging them, when they're doing their work at home, not necessarily right in front of you? Or are we talking about all of the above at the same time, right? So this is such a broad category. I tried to give some examples today of things that work in all of those situations. Most of these would be for in-person because that's what I've done for 20 years, but several of them also work in every situation, and I have currently been using them virtually or for students at home as well. So hopefully you get just a little bit of everything today, and you've got your pen and your paper to take notes. I don't know if people still do that anymore. You're typing furiously on the side, but hopefully you get a lot of really good information today. Okay, so first thing I like to do is get to the root of the problem. Like, what are we trying to solve when we're thinking about engagement in the classroom? So what is it that's a struggle for you in your classroom specifically? So you get to the root of the problem so you can address it. So when we're thinking about engaging kids, we're thinking about we want them their happy faces, they're participating in class, they're keeping their screen on in the Zooms. This is a picture I took of a couple of my students. Actually, I stole it from some videos they submitted. They went into various practice rooms and storage rooms around the choir room and had to submit some videos. And I was on the other side of the Zoom, and so I was like, hold still, I'm gonna take some screenshots, and they were giggling. And so then I showed them this picture like later, and they were not very happy about it. They're like, oh my gosh, I look so silly or whatever. I was like, no, you look happy, and that makes me happy. So trying to engage students. So thinking about the word engaging, I like this definition. It says, we're trying to draw favorable attention or interest, right? That's what we're trying to do in our classroom. Or maybe it's as simple as, do they have a pulse this morning? So everyone put 2 fingers up, trying to engage them in the classroom. I like this definition of kind of what are we trying to do? What problem are we trying to solve? We're trying to draw favorable attention or interest in what we are talking about. So one thing I want to know from you guys, and I'm going to get your input in just a second, so be thinking about what you're going to say to the answer to this question, but what are some of the reasons that your students would not be favorably drawn in a class? So what is it that are some of the struggles that you're having? If you tried to put that into words, it might be a long list, right? We are trying to be kind of focused in this session specifically about engagement, but what would you say if I had you, let's say one or two things that were at the top of what is it that's preventing your students from being engaged? So once you identify the problem, then you're more able to make a solution. So some of the things that I thought of were maybe they already have too much screen time. I mean, that's a problem for my older daughter. She's in junior high this year, and so much screen time. But then it's hard to feel sorry for them because once they get off the computer, then they're on their phone, right? So you're like, don't complain to me about your screen time because really you just want more screen time. Or maybe they just lack the general expectations that we have this year for how high their organizational skills and their tech skills have to be to stay on top of all of their assignments and their million Google Classrooms and the different platforms that teachers are using. So maybe they're having trouble being engaged because they just lack the training needed. It's almost like running a small business. Like when I look at my daughter's to-do list every day in her Google Classroom of all the things and all the emails, I feel like her organizational skills are definitely getting tested. And as a junior high kid, I know that's tough. And maybe you have students that are engaged because they're missing real choir, right? They just like, it doesn't feel the same to them and they don't understand. It's very hard to be engaged when it doesn't feel as awesome as it has past. Could be a very real thing. Or maybe your students are just so overwhelmed by everything going on in their life that they just don't want to, they just give up, they don't want to do anything, right? They can't handle it. They'll be like my daughter, they see the to-do list of the million things and they just can't do any of it. And so they just peace out. And maybe they don't have the support at home to help them sit down and like, let's go through what you didn't get done this week. So there could be, I know the list is a million things, right? Like why, if we're trying to get to the root of the problem of like why our students are not engaged, it's probably a million things. But can you try to think about what would be the one or two things if you had to say, okay, this is why I feel like my students might be having trouble being engaged in the classroom. And some of those things that I just listed are not necessarily in your control, right? You can't control how much screen time kids have all day, or you can't control you can help them with their organizational skills, but you can't help, support at home and things like that. So a lot of things are not in your control. So when you're identifying some of the struggles that you might be having in your classroom, also thinking about some things that are in your control and just being very honest about it, right? You've had half of a year in the classroom now, so just stopping to think, okay, what is it that I can control? I can control, so I put a couple examples here. I can control my energy level in the classroom, right? I can control how prepared I am for my students. I can control how I'm seeking out innovative ideas and basically giving myself a music technology degree in the middle of my teaching. I can make sure that I'm not playing the blame game, which we all love to do, I know. And then you can control relationship with students, right? So these are some of the things that if you have identified these as a reason students aren't being drawn to what you're teaching, these are some of the things that you could control. So my question, well, first of all, I know that Matt gave away my secrets that I've been teaching for 20 years, but how could that be because I'm so young? But we're all in this together, especially this year, right? Anybody who's been teaching for any amounts of years has pretty much been leveled right back down in this chutes and ladders game. We were all the way up there like square 79, right? And now we're all back in this together. I mean, I know that we have years of experience to draw upon, but of course, you guys know this little song. I don't know if it's gonna play on here. Let's see. I didn't download it like Sarah said. you could hear that or not. I should have downloaded our sound. Okay, so I have a link I'm going to send you. Let's see here in the chat. I can figure this out. Yes. Okay, just a second here. I'm gonna drop my screen. Now it's gonna be stuck in my head. Why did I do that? Okay, here is the link. I'm going to copy and put it in the chat. Wait for it, wait for it. There it is. Okay, I'm going to send it to everybody. Okay, so I just put the link in, and let's see what happens if you click on this. Everyone cross your fingers and your toes that it works. And let's see whose face I can see over here. That's what I like to do in Zoom. Oh, I can see Terry's face. Terry, did you try to click on the link? Is it working? Okay, she's giving me a thumbs up. Okay, so it should bring you to a screen. Calvin and Hobbes says why engagement. You guys have used Padlet before? Yes, no? Let me pull up my screen so I can see some faces. I love seeing faces. Oh my gosh, you never know how much you miss faces until you see faces. Some of you look very awake this morning, super impressed. So if you click the little pink circle in the bottom right-hand corner, it should let you make a note, right? It should let you make a little Post-it note. So my questions are, what struggles, so one or two things, do you feel like you would identify as a problem? And remember we talked about if you can identify the problem, then you can more easily come up with solutions for them. So if you could jot me down one or two things of what you think is a struggle for you. I'm loving what I'm seeing up here. Putting down the phone. Yes, So great. And you guys have used this Padlet before. This is a great tool. And I let you guys be anonymous because I trust that you're not 14 and gonna put something inappropriate on a Post-it, but you don't have to make it anonymous. You can have the kids log in with their Gmail or log in as their name. I love these comments here. So you guys are scrolling through, you can read what we are having trouble with. Yes, and we are all having the same struggles as I was talking about all of us being in this together, that I see that some of these are just about teaching as far as, oh, there's my bell. Yes, engagement during transitions, kids having to sing through the mask, switching back and forth between rehearsal spaces. Yes, those kind of transitions do eat up a lot of time and having to get them refocused again. And some kids being so far away from you in the room, just physically. Thank you for you guys for putting these comments on here. Yes, I totally understand about virtual students not participating. Okay. I also just wanted to use this tool so you guys could see how you could use this in your classroom. So let me come back over here. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna be singing that all morning. Let's see where I'm at here. Nope, went too far. Okay, I know that Matt did, and I'm going to be referring back to your Post-it notes that you put on the Padlet. So if you have some more ideas you want to put on there, that's great. And this will also help us for our panel this afternoon to think about things to talk about. I know that Matt talked a little bit about me. Let me see if I can fix my screen here. Okay, so we're going to do another little activity really quick that kind of helps me get to know you a little bit as well. And as Matt said, I have been teaching for 20 years. This is my 20th year to teach. And I'm from a small town. I was born and raised and graduated from Green Forest, Arkansas. If you know where that lovely little town is, up near Berryville, Eureka Springs, of course, it's pronounced Burville. Eureka Springs, Harrison, that area. And so I'm from a really small choir program and know what that's like to be in that kind of situation. I went to the U of A. I was in the Razorback Marching Band and was in all the choirs, of course. And then taught Bentonville Middle School for 10 years, did the Bentonville Children's Choir with Andrea Ramsey. We started that together. And then I got a wild hair and moved to New York City. Oh my gosh, sorry, my lights time out in my classroom. I forgot. Talk about engagement. You have to like wave your arms in my classroom or the lights don't come back on. I forgot about that. Hang on just a second. Okay, that means I wasn't moving around enough because the lights will go off in my classroom. Okay, so I got a wild hair, moved to New York City. I did a sort of a Teach for America type program there. There was a school called TEP Charter, the Equity Project is what it stands for. And so I got a job teaching there for 2 years. So my husband and our 2 young children, that were 1 and 3 at the time, moved everything to New York City and taught in the neighborhood of Washington Heights, which is just a little bit north of Harlem, and the population is the culture of the Dominican Republic. So my students there, I got to learn so much about teaching and myself, had an amazing time teaching there. And then we moved back home, and now I'm at Lakeside Junior High. I've been teaching here for 10 years here. I also do the U of A Children's Choir. I also am the mentor for new teachers in our region. So I get all the amazing emails and questions from new teachers in our region. I love answering those. I conduct some all-region choirs in the past, and I serve on the ArkCDA board for community choirs. My husband works for Arvest Banks, a mortgage lender. We have 2 lovely daughters, 10 and 12. We also just recently started doing foster care, so we have a lovely little 5-year-old boy in our home, and that has been amazing. And we have a little puppy dog named Penny. So this is me. This is a picture of our students at Lakeside got invited to perform at SWACTA with Dr. Jeff Murdoch and the Inspirational Singers last year, and that was right, before everything shut down. So this is sort of our little picture. We're outside the steps at Central High School in Little Rock, and actually in this picture, the kids were trying to teach me a TikTok, and yeah, I was mostly just giggling through the whole thing. Okay, so one thing I wanted to talk about quickly is a lot about engaging your students in the classroom is about your own teaching personality and who you are as a person. So when I moved and I did that job in New York City, that was such a tough job teaching-wise. But the thing I kind of learned from that is at that school at the time, because the population was so tough, there were teachers that I called them like tough love coaches. And they were like really militant with the kids, and it was super structured, and we will stand up and we will chant our math facts, and then we will get our pencil out and we will write it down, and the kids ate it up and they loved it, and they responded so well to this type of personality in the classroom. And I would observe those teachers teaching, and it just blew my mind, but I knew I couldn't be like that. Like, that was not my personality to be that type of teacher. And then you had the ones that were all the warm fuzzies, right? And just so much love. And I'm talking about teachers that were successful, the ones that I thought were doing a great job. So you have the ones that were just so much love as soon as the kids came in the door. It was all about personal connections. And then I started to think about the ones that were like super planners that spent all their time creating these amazing lessons. So that's kind of what I noticed from teachers that were successful. But you can definitely be a hybrid of all those as well, right? You can have all those tools in your tool belt. I would say I'm more in between the warm, fuzzy, super planner in there a little bit. So, but after you've been teaching for so many years, you don't have to spend all the time planning. You have enough experience to draw from. But can you just think for a minute about a teacher that you had in your life that you loved, and what would you say was their teaching personality? Were they one of these? Were they a mixture of these? If you had to think about a teacher that you had and which category they would fall in, but also what category would you say you fall in these areas? We don't have one of those like Enneagram tests for teachers. I guess we could design one of those. But if you had to say which category, 1, 2, or 3, that you were more like as a teacher, or maybe none of the above, maybe you're still figuring out your identity as a teacher. But I do want to talk about that for just a minute. So I love Calvin and Hobbes. I love this little cartoon here. This is kind of me, and when I think about preparing, it's like, oh, I got to wait for their creativity. But so what we're going to do is we're going to do, this is an activity that I have done for years in my classroom. I think I learned this tool maybe 15 years ago, but I use it all the time and the kids love it. And I've been using it virtually and the kids love it and ask to do it as soon as they hop on the Zoom. They're like, are we going to do it? And I'm like, yes, we're going to do it. And so it worked. And then last week I actually had a situation where I was teaching kids in front of me and kids on the Zoom at the same time. And I did this activity and it worked as well. So I just call it partner chats, and you guys may already have this tool in your tool belt. I also kind of think of it as speed dating, but I don't tell the kids that's what it's called. That might be a little bit weird. But basically what you do is, and this looks a little detailed on here, it's a really easy little strategy and it's super modified and works in lots of situations. But what I tell the students, if they're in front of me, let's say if I had a whole room of kids that were in front of me, I would say, okay, you have 10 seconds and you're going to go stand. And we did this in my classroom the other day and we did the 6 feet apart. So they had to hold out their hands. If your arm's 3 foot and the other person's 3 foot, you're this far away from each other. But I said, you have 10 seconds to go stand next to somebody who has the same color shirt as you. Go. Now, virtually, that would just be a breakout room. Like, I'm just going to send you to a breakout room. But, okay, you have 10 seconds, go. 9, stand next to somebody who has the same shirt as you. Or it could be same color shoes, someone same height as you. I like to say, go stand next to somebody you don't know very well. So this is a strategy that I would use. And also, in my classroom, we have X's on the floor that are marked off for the 6 feet apart. So you could have them go stand next to an X and then point at the person on the right. However you want to partner them up. Then I tell them, point at your partner, point at me. Sometimes I say point at who's still talking. Point at me, now quit pointing because that's rude. And then I say, okay, when I say go, you're going to look your partner awkwardly in the eyes because we all miss seeing faces. And you're going to introduce yourself. Now, in the past, I would make them shake hands. I would say, shake hands, look awkwardly in the eye, and introduce yourself and say, hi, my name is Susan. Or, of course, we don't shake hands anymore. But, and I tell them you have to make sure you remember their name because in a second, I'm going to ask you their name. And then I'm going to say, now you each have 15 seconds to talk about, and then I give them a category. It could be something legit from your curriculum that you're teaching that day. Okay, everyone's going to talk for 15 seconds about what you know about a crescendo or what do you think that this song lyric is about. You can give them a real topic or you can do it just for fun. Sometimes I say you're going to talk for 15 seconds about, you know, your favorite ice cream or what you're going to do with your fall break next week, or talk for 15 seconds about anything you know about squirrels, you know, just to get them up and talking. And then after the 30 seconds is up, I randomly will call on a student. Say, okay, Sarah, can you tell me your partner's name? And so they'll say, my partner's name was Fred. Okay, and what did Fred say that he knew about squirrels? So the kids feel more comfortable talking about their partner, right? Like they don't want to say what they said because that's a little more vulnerable, but what did your partner say? Oh, his name is Fred, and he said that sometimes squirrels, you know, eat from the trash can or whatever. So they'll share what their partner said a little bit easier. And so then we go around the room, and you can do that as long as you want. You can do more partners, more topics. You can call on more people. Another way to keep the whole room engaged is I will call on somebody else, and I'll say, hey, Larry, what did Sarah say that her partner's name was? And so they all have to stay engaged. Bob, what did Fred say about squirrels? And just to keep everybody in the room paying attention. So we are going to try that actually right now. Let's see how awake you guys are this morning. But I'm going to, let's see here, put you in a quick partnership. You're going to have 30 seconds. Don't be a ball hog. Don't talk the whole time. I know you haven't talked to other adults, humans in a while, but don't hog the talking time. But you're each going to talk for 30 seconds, and then I'm going to close the room down, of what you would say your teaching style is. You feel like you're better equipped to do some tough love? Do you feel like you could be a little more militant coach style? You feel warm fuzzies, you're a super planner, or you have no idea what your teaching style is and that's why you're here today? So let me send you to a quick little breakout room, and hey, you have to awkwardly introduce yourself, and you're gonna look at them in the eyeballs and you're gonna say, hi, even though your name's on the screen. And so I did this with my students, and I know that their names are on the screen, so you can cheat a little bit better. And then when you come back in 60 seconds, I'm going to ask you what your partner's name was, and then I'm going to ask them what they said about whatever the topic is. So let's see here. 42 divided by 2. Okay. Who's got the math for me? Thank you. Okay. Create breakout rooms. Okay, so before I click on this, you're gonna each have 30 seconds to talk about your teaching style and make sure you know the person's name. Maybe say where you're from if you have time. You don't have time for the whole backstory. Okay, here we go.
I'm going off mute.
Hey, Samantha. How are you?
Good. My name is Samantha Chapman.
Nice to meet you.
I'm definitely the warm fuzzy type teacher.
Yeah.
I wish I had a little bit more of the tough love in me. But
Right. I feel the same way about myself. Well, I don't know that I'm of the warm fuzzy exactly, but I'm definitely I got to be organized and know what I'm doing and such. And my entire teaching career, I regretted that I didn't have more of that tough love, because I felt like classroom management would have been so much easier if I had.
yes, that's what, like, I feel like I have a really good connection with my kids, but when it comes to classroom management, from the outside, I'm like, yeah, this could probably look like a mess right now if someone walked in. And
Right.
it's not. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally understand that. Totally get that. Right. Yeah. Everything's going well?
Yes, it is. I'm actually quarantined right now.
How are you?
My
Oh,
husband. Yeah,
is
my
he
husband
positive?
tested positive. Yeah.
But you
He's
haven't
fine.
gotten it.
Absolutely fine. And I'm fine. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, I hope that stays that way.
I know. Me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah, I haven't had it yet, but Matt did, and I didn't get it from him when he had it. So we managed to social distance in the house.
Yeah,
So,
enough that.
yeah.
Well,
How
that's
many more
good.
days do you have of it, or how long have you been doing it so far?
This is my 10th day, 9th
Oh,
day. I don't know. I lost
great.
count.
There you go.
It's been-
You're about done then.
It's done.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. So shall we go back to our room or our big room?
Go back.
Okay. See you in a bit.
See ya.
Bye.
Is not back from their room yet, actually. Let's see here. How about Abby Gage? Abby Gage, are you there?
Hi,
Hey, how are you?
good. How are you?
Good, good. Hey, who was your partner?
Rachel,
And what did she say was her teaching style?
the warm fuzzy.
Warm fuzzies. Whoop, whoop. Nice. Okay, Samantha Chapman. Who was your partner?
I had Miss Terry Whitworth.
Oh, lucky.
I know. She is the planner.
Yes, I was going to say, if she didn't say planner, then she was a liar. Oh my gosh, sorry. They're doing the announcements in my school. Talking about being a planner. Maybe I should have planned a different room. Okay, Emily Burris, are you awake? Who was your partner, Emily?
I had Shayna, and she said she was tough love and then warm fuzzy, but it depended on the student.
Yes, I like that. Adapted for the student. Very good. Okay, let's see here. Jason Burns, who was your partner?
Lindsay, and
this is her second year to teach. So last year she said she was really tough love and super plan, and now she's kind of transitioning to warm fuzzy after she's got her feet under her.
Perfect. That's right. You got to make the recipe work for you. Okay, so in your classroom, either virtually or kids in front of you, you do this activity for a while, and sometimes.
Thank you very much. Last night, the ninth grade basketball team.
Woo, the ninth grade basketball team won. Woo. Sorry, they're making announcements.
Really exciting game. Junior way so.
Okay, so with this partner chats, you can do it for a while. You can do it how long you want. Send kids to the breakout rooms. They love it. And I like to keep calling on them for a while, different topics that you can do. And then at the end, I forgot to tell you guys this, but one of the protocols that I would do was to have them do like a proper goodbye. And I used to be shaking hands, but now we just do the awkward wave. But I say, look at your partner awkwardly in the eyes and say, it was nice talking to you. And so they do that, and they're so funny, and they say that, like, it was nice talking to you. And then I'll say, okay, partner in 10, 9, find a partner. Okay, and now you have time to talk about this. So it's just a fun little activity you can do to get kids up. Yeah, so energy level is such a big deal. I also mentioned this in my About Me, but I also have had a lot of interns in my time because being located to the University of Arkansas and gone to school there, and then also doing the children's choir, they assign interns to me, and then I have interns through the children's choir. I also have interns through Lakeside, so I have worked with a lot of new college kids getting out there in the world. And so one of the big things that we just really try to work on, because I know there's sometimes scared coming in, but just your energy level, whatever you give out to the kids, they're going to give you about half back, right? So you have to amp it up, and you have to put on your happy face. And I'm not saying that everything has to be a dog and pony show, but your energy level is such a huge deal that the kids feed off of. And if you're curious about that, and you may have had to do this in your training as well, but just videotape yourself. Man, the honesty of that is real. You watch a video of yourself teaching, and it will teach you so much. I know anytime I watch a video of myself, I'm like, oh my gosh, my speaking voice is so low, and I sound like I'm about to drop off into a coma. So I always just try to pick my voice up and keep it up here when I see a video of myself. And I know that we have heard over and over again about connection with students and personal relationships, and everybody knows that is a huge deal with teaching, but I just really try to talk to my interns a lot about how that is so crucial, especially teaching junior high, but for any age. And sometimes you get kind of overwhelmed when you think about how many students that you have if you teach in a larger school, or how often you get to see them, and it's hard to build a relationship with that many kids, or how often you get to see them. But I just want to tell you that it doesn't have to be a huge intensive thing, building a quick little connection with a kid, right? So a quick example is I have a student named Andrew that I had a little bit of trouble with last year. And this year he comes in, and the first thing I notice is he's gotten much taller. And so like right away, I just make that connection with him. And I'm like, Andrew, oh my gosh, you've gotten so tall. Are you 6 foot? Wow. And so every time he's coming to my class, I'm like, Andrew, I swear you've gotten taller since last week. Like, are you measuring yourself? And I measure my daughters at home. We have this little measuring stick. And so you see this little smile start to come on his face. And like, that's just my little connection with him. We talk about heights, and that leads to other thing. And the other day he actually came up to me and initiated a conversation with me, which he never would have done last year. Same thing with a student I have named Victor. Kids had to submit a recording, audio, video, and I mean, his wasn't necessarily the best one by far, but I decided to choose his as a public praise. So I was telling the students, like, yeah, last night I was listening to the recordings, and I was having it on play over here while I was trying to do something else, and I clicked on this one, and this beautiful tenor voice came through, and I turned my head to see whose name was on there, and I was like, and I paused for dramatic effect in the classroom. I was like, this student is singing so amazing, and it was Victor. I was like, Victor, your recording was so awesome. And not necessarily that it was the best one, but I gave him that public praise. And he is definitely one that had not been as engaged in the classroom, but just like a quick little thing like that. And now he's hooked, right? girl yesterday, I noticed I do have problems with her a little bit in the classroom with her attitude sometimes. But yesterday I was like, oh my gosh, your hair is purple. It's so cool. I love that. I wish I could dye my hair that color. I think it's too dark. And just a quick connection, right? It doesn't have to, when you think about building a relationship with a student, it's not, it really, these poor kiddos, sometimes it doesn't take much, which just shows you how much they're just starving for an adult to notice them, right? So just a quick little connection is all it takes, and it will be such a huge deal. And I like this quote about anything worth doing is usually hard work, right? And you guys definitely know that, especially this year. If you haven't heard of conscious discipline, I don't know if that word has been around you lately, but this has been a game changer for me. I learned it last year. So year 19, and I was changed as a teacher and a person from this. And it may not be for everybody, but that's how it is. You go find a strategy and you look it up. But if you just go to consciousdiscipline.com, I did a workbook with teachers in my school in a small group, and the workbook is amazing. And the general idea of it, if you haven't heard of it, is basically it makes you examine yourself as a person and how you react to situations. And so you do this all in-depth study about yourself. That's how the book starts. And then it does in-depth study of your relationships with other people and how you react to other people's personalities. And so it changes you as a person. It helped in my marriage and in my parenting. And I wanted to go back and redo the workbook in a different mindset every time. But it's just how, oh my gosh, the lights went off again. Okay, I'm gonna go over my hands. So, there it goes. It's just, how you interact with relationships with people. So check that out, Conscious Discipline, if you have not heard of that one. It is an amazing study. Okay, you guys know that every kid loves to play games, right? And I know, and like I said before, it doesn't have to be dog and pony every day. But what do your kids like to do in their free time? So you guys had commented about them wanting to be on their phones, they want to play on their Chromebooks, and they want to play games, right? Has anybody been on the Among Us new app kick that kids are doing nonstop, right? What is fun about that game is they get to collaborate with other kids, right? They get the social time. They get to compete a little bit in a game, and it's easy to learn. It's fun. So why are kids getting hooked on those type of things? Because they get the social time, they get to compete. I have a quick little story about my daughter, Audrey. She started beginning band this year in junior high, which starting beginning band as a student in the pandemic, crazy, right? So she wasn't having the best time, mostly because she got, when they picked the instrument for her, she is playing trombone, which she was super excited about, but now she's been lugging that thing on the bus and all around school, and she's like, why didn't I choose the flute? So she has not necessarily been in love with her band experience, but we've just been trying to cheerlead her along. Well, a couple of weeks ago, they started chair test in band. And so she kind of didn't really understand what that meant, but she was kind of getting into it, and she did the first chair test. I think there's 12 kids in her section. And then they posted the results, and she got first chair, and she was like, okay, all right. So second week, again, they do the thing, and she thought maybe it was a fluke, but she got first chair again. And now she's like on fire. She's like, you can win at band? Like, it's her thing, right? Like, she's so competitive. But my younger daughter's not like that. She's not super competitive. She would not like to be rushed, and time tests are not her thing. So you have to think about that with your students too, right? You're thinking about who you can connect to that is competitive, but also how you can make everybody kind of feel included if they're not necessarily the one that has to be the first one across the finish line. Have you guys heard of quizzes? I don't think I spelled that right, quizzes.com. If you haven't used this strategy, this is another one of those that I have done just virtually, or I have done it in the classroom as well. This is a super cool platform that and it's like Kahoot. It's basically like Kahoot, but it's a little different. I like it a little better. I feel like it's a little more academic, and the feedback that it gives you is really cool. It will tell you which question the kids had the most struggles with, and it will tell you how long it took them to answer it. And it's also super user friendly, so I will have students create a quizzes, and then other kids have to take it. So we were studying this Mozart opera that the kids, one of their all-region pieces is based on, and I had them create a quick little 10-question quizzes about this opera piece, having to do with the all-region piece. And so it can be done very quickly. There's super easy ones on there too. If you click on quizzes.com, the first thing it prompts you for, it says, what are you teaching today? and you just type it in. So there's a quick one that's solfege, and it's just got pictures of hand signs, and you identify the hand signs. So there's a quick little exit ticket that the kids can do. So if you haven't heard of that one, definitely check out quiziz.com. Again, it's like Kahoot, but I like it a little better. Okay, so I've talked about how I don't expect everything for you to have this show that you put on for the kids all the time and keeping them engaged, but all kids like playing games. And I don't know, I know we're getting close on my time here, but some of my favorite things to get kids up engaged, I'll share 2 of them. I'll do 3 really fast. Okay, so the first one's called Solfege Ninja. And I swear, kids of all ages. So the children's choir that I do starts at 2nd grade and different levels. It goes up through 12th grade. And then my junior high is 8th and 9th graders. But they all love Solfege Ninja. And basically what it is I just pair 2 kids versus each other. So, 6 feet apart. Close your eyes. They both close their eyes. Sorry, making announcements in my school. So they face each other. Close their eyes. And then I call out different solfege signs. I like, show me, show me re, fa, do, la. And they have to show the hand signs. And the reason I make them close their eyes is so they won't cheat off each other. And basically, whoever does the hand sign fastest stays in the winner circle, and then they verse somebody else. The kids that are sitting out in the classroom also have to participate along, and that's who I call on. The next person I'm going to call on is somebody who's practicing out here. So Solfege Ninja is a big hit. They all love to do it. We have a Solfege Ninja championship of the week or the day. We keep their name on the board. Nobody's been able to take them down. Who's gonna beat, David in the Solfege Ninja? Somebody please knock him off his reign. Forbidden Rhythm. Do you know Forbidden Rhythm? You have to know this one. If you don't know how to play this one, kids of all age love it. This is the one where you clap a rhythm and they're not allowed to clap it anymore. So if you clap, let's say like 1, 2, and 3, 4, right? So they can clap it one time, then they get it in their brain. Then you clap a whole bunch of more rhythms. So you're going like, they have to clap that back. They clap it back, right? But then when you get to, they're not allowed to clap that one. So if they did clap it, they're eliminated. They have to sit down. Also, if they try to play it safe and not clap the other ones, they're also eliminated. And the kids love playing that because it knocks the kids down really fast. Quick little round of Forbidden Rhythm is just a way to get them up and moving, and it's a good visual way to see everybody in the room. I also like to do an exit ticket where I'm sorry, I know I'm running out of time. They have to do an exit ticket where just clapping the correct rhythms, you line up in the hall, clap, and then I watch the whole room and see who's getting rhythms correctly. Just quick little games. They don't have to be super intensive, but just a way that you can keep kids engaged. The last thing I wanted to talk about in my 12 seconds I have left was about taking risk, right? Is your classroom safe enough that kids can feel that they can take a risk and be silly and put themselves out there? You have to model that for them, right? So you should say, hey, I'm trying this new teaching strategy, I'm trying this new technology, and we're gonna learn it together, we're gonna make mistakes together. So just helping them feel safe enough to be silly and use their voice in a different way and try new things in your classroom. One of the teachers asked me to do this virtual thing where I had to dress up like a crazy cat lady. And so just being crazy, putting yourself out there, taking risks, letting the kids know that you are also in the same boat as them and learning this together. So I know it was super fast. Those are just some of the things that I try to do as a teacher to keep the kids engaged. And I want you guys to have some fun in your classrooms during this crazy times. And I know your classrooms look a million different ways, but I'm just super proud of you guys for being first year teachers. I can't even imagine this time in your life, but you know what? It's all gonna be easier from here.